That's one thing I noticed about this Google Meets is it reversed my camera, so I had to open up another app, reverse flip my view on that, so Google Meets has it the right way. I don't know if
Yeah,
it
and
matters too much, but
Zoom, you could do it within Zoom.
yeah.
Won't work for sending CW.
All right, don't talk about Terrence. He's here.
John's gonna show up too, correct? Van Walligan, UBQ.
I hope so. I mean, he went through the how do I do this and figured it out. So that's just what we need is 3 Johns. We got 2 already. 3 would be 50% better.
Well, I guess that means everyone would have a place to go.
Ah, ah. Bet they've never heard that before.
All right. Well, it's 6:30, so. I don't know if you wanted to do the MC or I can take off here, Joe, or.
Ladies and gentlemen, I guess this gentleman is. All right, I guess I'd say ladies and gentlemen, but at this point it's just gentlemen. So here's Mark.
All right. Well, just FYI, I am recording this, so I'll throw it up on I guess my YouTube channel. It's got a total of 1 follower, and I'll share that link out on Facebook for anybody that wants to view this afterwards. So it's the benefit of having this done here. It's going to be in the raw. Also on the screen, we should be able to capture the attendee list. So whenever Mr. Van Walligan, UBQ, gets here, he can capture that as well. Well, I'll say good evening, everybody. This is the January 6th at 6:32 p.m. And traditionally we do a year in review for the past year and upcoming events for the next year, and then we can take a look at things like what we plan on doing budget-wise and so forth for the this upcoming year. So for 2020, very few actual events took place. We did have, I do believe that we had a couple members do the Winter Kiso Party. That was in January, and I think the only thing we did after that was distributed Kiso Party for Kansas. So we did, I forget what our call sign was. Whiskey Zero November?
Whiskey Zero Uniform.
Uniform, okay. I do the Missouri Kiso Party with some buddies, and it's always Whiskey Zero Whiskey too, so I get a little confused. But so I think the Kiso Party that came out pretty well. I just got a piece of paper with a stamp on it last week for being a participant in that, so that was pretty cool. Due to COVID restrictions, we definitely lost opportunities to do a lot of things. The first few months was just trying to figure out exactly what was going on and what we could do. I'm not getting anywhere to join this meeting. Let me respond to Jim real quick. Whoa, that's not the... Why can't they just bear with me for a second, please? There we go. So, where was I? Okay. Due to the COVID and everything, we had to cancel a lot of things. We did try to, and were successful at picking up at least three membership meetings at the Evergreen Library. We still had restrictions on that. And then, of course, during the fall time, I guess it was October, those got canceled again. So our reliance on the free those areas like that is kind of stymied us a little bit. I would definitely say that even due to all the COVID, I haven't heard any of the WARC membership actually getting COVID. And I certainly haven't heard anybody going SK because of it. So I think that's a positive for us, especially when our community is generally older and in the higher risk category. So, I mean, I was going to kind of, my little joke is like the antisocial nature of amateur radio operators is working to our favor, I suppose. With that, I don't have anything else for 2020, really. It's been, unfortunately, uneventful. The one takeaway from 2020 I would like to look at is how we did the distributed QSO party. And sorry, Jim's popping me again. Okay, sorry about that. Jim Meyer's trying to figure out how to get in, and he keeps taking him to the Google Play Store, so I'm asking him if he's on a phone or on a computer. On the phone, Nick, do you have to normally go? Yeah, all right. Where was I? So, I'm going to go ahead and take that off screen so we don't have to keep watching it. So, anyways, what I was saying, with the distributed QSO party that we did, and I think it was pretty successful. I don't know how well we placed, and I know we didn't make as many contacts as we normally do when we go over to Dale's house with his big trombone. However, I think we had a pretty reasonable and respectable QSO count, and anything that, that QSO count. And I was thinking, I was like, that's another way of maybe we can still do this for other events, even for field days, for like winter field day is still coming up, and we haven't talked about that, but I don't see why we couldn't still participate in some way, at least individually, and so forth, and or there might be other creative ways we do. Sorry, Jim keeps pinging me. But so that's definitely something to think about. There's other things I've thought about too. Like during the QSO party, one of the things that we did do was we created a really simple. There's Jim. There's one of those. We came up with a very simple schedule for everybody to put on their list what bands they want to operate, what mode they want to operate, and what times they want to operate. And I wouldn't see why that couldn't still be done for other events as well, even if we have to maintain social distancing and so forth, to have a couple radios out there and what time that you would be able to operate, and you can show up and operate then. And then, of course, if we do it's distributed, because I'm sure field days, field days are supposed to be sort of an individual event anyways, I think. But there's no reason why we couldn't set up something at a park, maybe at the fire station, whatnot, a radio table and a shade and an antenna out there. Put out the bands that radio is capable of operating on at the time, and just schedule it out for when people are coming around they can operate on. So it's an idea, and I'm always welcome to any and all other ideas out there. So I definitely like to make sure that we still participate as much as we can on Winter Field Day, QSO Party. That what was it? The like the event with the train station that we did, and so forth. And just figuring out ways that we can still do this while not putting anybody at risk. Now, it's all, I think a lot of it comes down to a person's individual risk tolerance, but at the same time, we also have to look at the second and third order of effects of who else we come in contact with. So we can't just do things willy-nilly like that, I don't think. But or I'd prefer to do it as safely as possible.
I just got logged in. What are we talking about?
Oh, well, I did my 15 seconds of what we did in 2020. I was probably about 10 seconds too long, and I'm going over the kind of what, some of the things I wanted to do during 2021, or some of the things as a club we could do over 2021. And I just started talking about when doing different events and using kind of how we did the distributed QSO party for this past year, and how we could use that methodology for other events like field days, QSO parties, and so forth.
Okay.
So, and I am, for a couple of you that just joined, I am recording this, and I'll throw it up on YouTube after this. So anything else that you've missed, or anybody else that hasn't been able to participate, will be able to download this or watch it at least. So I think it kind of covers the events that I've got notes on. And as always, I'm going to be asking for a lot more input from just members. I definitely don't want the club to, the board members to be the sole driving force on our good ideas. I think there's a ton of experience out there that we should all be able to rely on a little bit, and I think it just takes the nature of Elmering as well. So the second thing I want to mention during 2021 is the grounded grid. So we've mentioned this quite a few times. We've haven't had the grounded grid published now for at least 6 months, and now that my house is going on the market and I should have some more free time, I'm gonna just take the lead on this. It's probably not going to be nearly as pretty as what it was before, but it's going to be something. And I think we got to get this out, because one of the things that we need to do is just be able to pass on information, not just from our club, but from other clubs in the area, and just keep people aware. We've got things like the ARRL section newsletter that comes out. I don't know how often that comes out. I get an email like every couple months whenever it comes out, and I'm sure we have other clubs doing other activities that we may be able to participate with, even if it's virtually. So I think it was the Enid Hamfest that they did a virtual Hamfest, and I think that we did. I think that was socialized very well. We just need other mechanisms to socialize that, because, so as far as I understand, the grounded grid was also used by people in different regions, like up to Emporia and so forth, that we may not have direct radio contact with unless we jump on the K-Link or something. And I don't know of any nets on K-Link, that we can kind of expand our, knowledge area, listen to other traffic nets. So, since I will be, what feels to me, have a ton of free time coming up, since I haven't had any this past 7-8 months, I'm going to take the lead on that. I did get some good ideas on what to do, and it's probably not going to be as pretty, but I may also try to change the format a little bit. Not so much the format of I'm not talking about the how it's done now, but it's just I would like to, I mean, I'd like to webify it a little bit as well as have PDFs that can be able to print out. So I think that should be something relatively easy to accomplish. Other events, the one big thing for 2021 that we talked about the last board meeting, and what I really want to try to get done this year are the tower climbs. We have Derby and Beaumont that we need to get somebody up there and do some repair work on. This is, since I've been president, this has been something we've talked about, but we've made a little traction on. And I would like to turn that around to just get traction on it, just to get something done, even if it's only one tower. But if we can get all of it done and done as economically as possible is the goal. I mean, it sounds like it's going to probably wipe out a significant portion of our budget as it is. However, hopefully that will also be something that can be, that we won't have to worry about for, I don't know, 10 years or whatever the lifespan of that cable would be. So I don't, that's more of a John and a Nick question on how long that cable can hang out there in the winds before we have to worry about it again. But, and also the associated hardware to tether that to the tower. But so last month we did, start making a concrete list on what we need to do for this. This includes sourcing the equipment, making sure that we know what parts we need for the tower climb. Hopefully this next week when we have the next board meeting, we have a lot more clarity on that, and hopefully in the next month or two we'll be able to pop on the finding a climber, so we can get that done before it turns winter again. Let's see. I have other events, but I didn't write anything in here. So other events, I think what I was going to touch on is that we still want to participate in what we can, like bike rides. The bike rides and the half marathons, or whatever they have going on out there. I think we still offer a valid resource for that. And by nature, those are going to be outdoors, naturally socially distanced. You're going to be probably by yourself, or maybe with one other person in a vehicle or something, or in a checkpoint. So these events, I think we should still look at and socialize to our membership to get out, get involved, and so forth. And one of the things too is like, if we have anybody that wants or needs volunteer time, it's a great time to do that. And that might be even a way of getting some of these like high school kids that have to have so many hours of volunteer time for their class. I don't see why they have to be radio operators, but at the same time we can bring them in, have that, and also maybe give them the idea of being a radio operator. Just another way of trying to bring in like younger community and see if they'd be interested in amateur radio. And the last thing I have on my list, and it's probably not a very comprehensive list, is the membership meetings like this one. We're going to still continue this. If it's not in person, I think doing it on like Google Hangouts here is something that is also very should be easier to do. And I don't know, we could probably even do this when we start having like our eyeball QSO meetings, and just have a laptop with a camera out there that will be able to record these as well. That way we can still have people that may not be comfortable with meeting in person yet because of their risk tolerance, and start doing kind of a multimedia sort of events. But in the minimum, we can still do this, and it also gives us the opportunity to do presentations. And you don't have to drive anywhere for it. The bad part is you don't get to meet at Spingles afterwards. So, but next month, and with doing that, we can still publish the events and we can have these links out, months in advance, at least a month in advance, and that way it'll be easier for you to schedule and to meet up. Like next month, something I've been looking forward to is Nick Sharp. He's our treasurer. He's scheduled to do a class on grounding and bonding, for instance. And and Nick is a crazy man. He works with electricity for a living, and I think we'd be able to get a lot of good information out of that. But that's all I have on my notes. I know it's kind of cruise by, but any other questions or what was that?
I think you may have just heard a notification I had for another meeting I was supposed to have tonight.
Oh, okay.
But so I just dismissed it.
Yep. Some of the good things that we have, I guess we can go back and circle back, come of lessons learned, and I think ultimately what they are good things is learning to virtualize our club a little bit. So some things like Terrence has been really taking the lead on getting the ham club online sorted, and that includes how we did the elections this year. I think that worked out really well, and something we could also use to just reach out to the membership a lot more in that fashion, I think. And second, just because we've had this restrictions with COVID and everything, it's also helped us keep our membership up, at least financially, and it's going to really come into play when we have to do these tower climbs. So, and because I think those tower climbs are going to kind of wipe out a significant portion of our budget, or what we have saved up right now for that, which is okay. I think those are I think those lessons learned are pretty much coming down from how to virtualize what we do. And a lot of us may work virtual, so I work from home. I haven't been to DC in 5 years. I get to go to the meetings online all the time. The benefit of that is I don't have to take a shower before noon. Sometimes that's a benefit, but so I think there's a lot of resources out there. There's to get there's going to be a lot of folks that are in the same situation, that have a lot of experience doing these meetings and coordinating efforts online and so forth. And it might not be the optimal way we want to do things, but it's definitely more than doable to maintain consistent communications throughout the club. So, and like when I was talking to John Nichols, John Nicholas, about right before we kicked this meeting off, was one of the things that we always said in the Army was that the Commonwealth folks were always the worst at communicating, and it's probably close to what we see in the ham community, and I think that's something that we could definitely work on. It just means everybody needs to be a little bit more proactive, ask questions, or just even if the involvement is nothing more than talking and being involved and so forth. So I don't think that we have to stop Elmering and just because we're not at the same table with the soldering iron. So anyways, I don't have much else for that. So any comments or questions, concerns?
Well, Mark, I just think that the tower climb is well worth it, and we've been saving for way back when I was sitting president, and we've got the funds for it, and then if we need to start over or need to have something issue come along, we tend to kind of be lazy, but we have ways we can raise some funds if we need to, get the membership involved if it means that much to them. But that tower climb is going to give us better coverage and should have better quality and be able to do a lot more with it. On both of those facilities, they're both in bad need of upgrade. So I would do whatever we have to do to get it accomplished instead of sitting around for another 4 years and talking about it. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, well, that's definitely the plan this year. We talked about that, and I think last meeting we've started building a very good statement of work, framework on what we need to get done, and thankfully we've got John Locke and Nick Sharp. They're both very experienced in different aspects of this to help kind of shepherd this along. So that's one of the things I would like to get done. I'd like to not talk about it anymore, or talk about it in past tense. So, all right. Well, Terrence, do you have anything you want to add? Are you talking to the mute button or?
I wonder if he's got his phone or computer muted. I would think that Terrence would know about that, but I noticed that it looks like Nick is muted.
Yeah.
And I found out that was my issue. I was muted, and I had to figure it out. But anyway, so I don't know if that's. I doubt that it's an issue with Terrence, but because he's pretty knowledgeable around the devices.
But he is muted. You're right.
What?
Yeah. Well, talking about another thing that I know Terrence has been working on is we're working on just getting that our website refreshed, up to date, and a couple other things on the back end to all work well, so we could like send emails, for instance, as opposed to just receiving emails. So you can send an email from your board position versus you've received the email, it gets forwarded to you, but you're not sending it out. So Terrence has been taking a lead on that. And okay, well, Terrence just said his mic died, but he's got nothing to add. Well, I don't know, John, do you want to add anything? John Locke, do you want to add anything about repeaters, what we could get done this year? Any repeater work or any challenges we might have for like the tower climbs and so forth? KF0M, KK0 Oscar. All right, might be eating dinner or something. Well, I guess Nick, are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Well, do you think for this you might be able to give like a once over the world for last year's financials?
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. This is Nick, Kaiser NPS, treasurer for the WARC. So 2020 for the club, while being completely new endeavor, actually worked out in our favor with excellent turnout from our membership as far as renewals and dues. We also had some wonderful donations this year, despite everything going on. So for the whole of 2020, we had $357.40 in donations. We generated $3,100 in dues. That is 154 members renewing their dues. That is an excellent turnout for this year. We generated $45.27 in interest income. We had $300 in newsletter ad income. Our 50/50 raffle last January at our officers banquet generated $105 at that. We had a sale of some club equipment this year for $50 and Amazon Smile donation. Thank you for everybody who has been running their Amazon purchases through Amazon Smile. We generated $128.85 from that, giving us a total income this year of $4,086.52. We had $1,257 in expenses this year, with some insurance, some annual expenses, a large part of that being the Derby Electric for the Derby repeater site. As it currently stands, and this is up for debate with the board, we're going to be lining out the budget for next year, but as it stands right now, restricted for 2021 is $3,100. We'll roll over the remaining budget of this year of $1,218. Derby Repeater Fund has $1,900 in it. Beaumont Repeater Fund has $1,000 in it. Emergency Fund has $2,268. General Fund has $7,140.44, giving the club a total net assets of $16,559.12. I'll stand for any questions.
I just have a comment. Nick, thanks for doing that work. Treasurer's work, when it gets done right, is not very exciting at all, but when it gets done wrong, it can be the end of an organization.
Very true.
Oh, there you go. Seems like John's got... Oh. It looked like he was unmuted for a second. Hey, John Locke, can you talk?
Hi. Good, how are you? Jim is doing
Looks
another
like he's
Zoom
unmuted, but I can't hear him.
in the other room.
There is a John. There's a
Hello. There we go. Now we're
There we
working.
go.
I had to tell it that it was okay to use the microphone.
Ah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've used this computer for a lot of WebExes and, not had a problem with the audio microphone before, but for whatever reason, it didn't want to recognize it.
I think it's Hangouts because it shows a mic that I don't have attached to my computer, and it shows a camera that's not even a camera. So
Anyway, yeah, I had to. Yeah, I plug in headset for microphone when I want to do that, and tell the computer, yes, I plugged in a headset with a microphone, but apparently the timing of it or something was such that Google didn't catch it. So I went out and back in. So, let's see.
Well, I don't remember.
I think what to say about what you said. Yes, basically, for 2020, we did very little because of COVID restrictions. Maybe if things get better, we can do more this year. There are a number of tasks that are on the list of a lot of things that need to get done in addition to tower climbing. We'll we'll see how things go. But yeah, hopefully we can get something moving that way. I think we potentially have enough funds to cover most of it if we settle the hardline question, and or determine what that's going to cost us, or decide what we're going to use something different. So, but other than that, I don't know of anything specific to report. Maybe that we haven't talked about in board meetings, and unless there are questions.
I don't specifically have any questions. I was just, don't know if we have any other repeaters this year that are going to need maintenance or get sent out or whatnot, or.
Well, we still need to do software on all of the repeater controllers. The version we have has some bugs. There's some bugs that still haven't been fixed. There's some workarounds we've worked out for some of the bugs that I need to implement into the repeater controller config and get loaded at sites, which I've been delinquent on because I hadn't put a lot of time on it. I started working on it some last spring, and then we ran into some glitches out because we had a repeater we were going to swap out at Beaumont, and that didn't work. And then the repeater controller we put out there had a problem in it that I need to finish diagnosing, and so that kind of got put on hold. The Derby needs some attention, that maybe with a link radio, or maybe some indication of antenna problems, and that we're no longer holding a good solid path consistent path between Derby and Hutchinson. Sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not very good. So, but I don't know whether that's a problem with the link radio yet, or whether it's a, different problem. So, we have had more recently some problems of varying audio at the Wesley UHF repeater, which we'd had several years ago. Then it kind of fixed itself and had been working okay for a while, and then this fall it's been a little bit more apparent again. So those are the main things. There's there's a lot of other things we ideally still need to do, like finding a permanent home or a better home for the VHF DMR repeater, and then installing the UHF DMR repeater. We do have some hardware assets and resources available that were donated that could be useful for expansion or replacement of equipment if we need to, but it's newer equipment that I'm not familiar with yet, and does require extensive modification on a learning curve to get it converted over to ham bands. And it's all convertible because I know there are other clubs and organizations using some of this, the Motorola MSF series equipment, but I don't personally know anything about it, or what it takes to get it converted and reprogrammed and set up for ham band usage. So we've got some stuff there. There are a number of other little projects. We've got one feed line that we ran at Wesley, but haven't yet finished routing into the radio room and putting a connector on the end of it. But it will open up an antenna for us for UHF usage, which I think was originally targeted for the UHF DMR repeater. We also need to, at some point down the road, which really is contingent on getting some of the other things done that need done, so we can reconfigure a little bit to open up a port for a better direct All-Star or Echolink connection than what we're doing now. So that's another but that really can't take place until we get some of the other tasks done. So it's, a lot farther down the pile of stuff. So that's kind of a quick high level without a lot of detail list of some of the things that are out there to be done.
Well, it sounds like a full list for sure. So, I have a question like on the All-Star Echolink. I think I'd have to look. But I think I've got a board that's supposed to go into a Pi for that. I'm not. I think it's a Pi.
What I'm running now is, recap again, is originally our All-Star Echolink node was provided by NV8Q, and he was the one that set it up, but it was actually housed at N5NIQ's place in McPherson, and it developed a pretty good problem last summer, and I think between COVID and other activities, he got a lot more interested in DMR than that, and has not ever made the trip down there to retrieve hardware and figure out what's wrong with it and get it set up again. But that was something he had just done as kind of a favor to us. So I am using a board that plugs into the back of one of the radios that we use for our normal repeater and linking stuff that was purchased several years ago. It'll plug into a Pi Star or Pi, or in this case, I've got it plugged into a donated Linux laptop. Running the software, but that's working as a temporary to get things going, because earlier I was having to kept having to reconfigure my my station each week for the Sunday night net, and then again for the Tuesday night net, and then reconfigure it back to the way it normally got used. And so at least with the setup right now, I've been able to leave it up and running. Although I have not spent any, I spent just enough time to get to get it up and working, and have not spent any time trying to learn the interface or how to tweak it. One of the results is that I've heard about and hear about is that and I'm aware of, is that it announces node number connections every time somebody connects or disconnects, and it does it a little choppily. So depending on where you're at in the system, you may just hear a bunch of chunks or some other things, and so I've gotten a few complaints about that, but I haven't taken the time. I think of, if I could get into the Linux software, I'm pretty sure there's a way in there to configure that so it doesn't make those announcements, but I haven't tried to take the time to dig in there and figure that out yet. So, but at least it's working more stably for the whiles than what we were doing earlier as a temporary fix.
Yeah.
And I know the long term it would be nice to add some to, add more than one to some of our different, have some nodes connected to some of our different repeaters, so that we would have some alternate or backup linking paths, and to give us a little bit better redundancy, because everything right now doesn't really have much redundancy built into it. If you have a problem, lots of times it's going to pretty much break the link at that point.
Yeah, I know here off the Derby repeater, I hear the I guess the serial number for the caller coming in when they connect or disconnect.
Yeah, and sometimes it'll announce a call sign, but it doesn't always. In addition to the node number, sometimes it just announces the node number.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like I said, those are little details and annoyances we just need to put up with for a while.
Well, I don't know. If we have anybody with some spare time though too, maybe that's something we could bring out on nets or whatnot to see if
Oh, yeah.
he's got some spare time to dig into a little issue like this. That way we can run little issues concurrently.
Yeah, if somebody else had a pie or something and had some time that they wanted to, to donate for the node, they could download the software and work with it, and then when got it ready, then all we'd have to do is just plug the radio and the interface board into the Pi and finish up the finish up tweaking the levels, and that'd be it.
Terrence just said that he's got all the hardware too. He's
Yeah.
got all sorts of interfaces. So, like I said, well, I don't know if you were on earlier, but my house is going on the market this week, so it's going to end my months of being totally bogged down at work. So that's a good thing. I definitely want to work on a couple projects on the weekends. That's not involving cutting out subframes and plastering walls, rerunning electrical.
Well, hopefully it'll sell quickly.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, my realtor thinks it will. So he's been being proactive about us getting it finished. He's like, come on, like, dude, this is an after-hours project for me. But all right. Well, I definitely know I wouldn't mind.
Everybody wants to live in College Hill.
What's that?
Everybody wants to live in College Hill.
I hope so. You don't see a lot of for sale signs in the neighborhood, so even when a house goes up, it goes right back down. It's up and down. So I hope so.
Mark, I've got one follow-up comment on Winter Field Day.
All right.
I did bring up the rules, and there is a COVID-19 provision for this year that they have a category of club entrance, and you can enter as a club with people operating individually, as we did for the Kansas QSO party. And then there's provisions in the submission for making sure we get a consistent, unique name requirement for the club to be able for them to aggregate the scores.
Mm-hmm.
It's there if there's interest in doing it.
Okay. Well, that would be definitely. I haven't turned on my HF radio in probably 6 months, so I'm looking forward to seeing if that still works.
It's usually a circle with a line at the top of it. That's the power source.
Yes. Yeah, it's just taken me a long time to get across the room over there to hit that button. So.
Yeah, you did remind me there that you commented on the Enid Hamfest, and I participated in that, and I thought for a small club they did a very good job with a first time attempt at a virtual Hamfest. They did have a couple of presenters that were commercial people located elsewhere in the country that didn't show up for their presentation time slot, but they had some items prepared to run to kind of cover in their place. They had some YouTube things as backups, so they ran that instead. But it was reasonably well. It had reasonable participation. It sounded like they sold a fair number of tickets for it, and they definitely had a very nice list of prizes that they gave away. So, and so yeah, I thought they were quite well. I mean, it wasn't near as fancy as that big national virtual Hamfest that was done earlier, but for a local Hamfest and the scale they were shooting for, I thought it went very well. So, and it was a good deal. It's just too bad we didn't hear about it sooner and couldn't help them publicize it a little bit more.
Well, it might be good to kind of reach out to them also and get some lessons learned from them and see how they put that together and whatnot. And I've looked at other ham sites or ham club web pages, and one thing I've noticed on a couple of them also is they'll have like a commerce page but on the commerce page they'll sell like tickets to events or like a raffle and so on and so forth. And I think that might be, well, a way of, still, even if we have like a virtual ham club, people could still list their stuff that way, take pictures, descriptions, and so forth and whatnot. So, I mean, it'd be a little legwork getting the website up and prepared for that. So, and I don't know if it would be something we would bite off or if we could coordinate with somebody else as well. Because the beauty about being online is it doesn't have to come from one specific area. So.
Yeah, because in this case, Enid actually coordinated with another club, trying to remember which one that was, in Oklahoma, that actually provided the Zoom hosting for them, that had already had that set up and had the account and had a better web presence for doing that kind of thing. So they worked in coordination with them to put that on.
Well, that's something too. Also, is I remember Lloyd saying something about the local ARL has got a Zoom license that we can coordinate to borrow for events as well. So. All right.
Yes, and we could do that even for these club meetings, as long as there isn't somebody else using it at the same time. That's the limitation.
You just have to get on the schedule. Worst comes to worst, I have a Zoom license through the university as well. So I gave half of my class last semester because I ended up going to the classroom and nobody else would show up. So I decided not to show up as well. Yeah, but I have a lot of athletes that got quarantined, and then family members of students got quarantined, and so on and so forth. So I think we're all going to be working from home for the rest of the.
Yep. Joe, on the thing with COVID rules for like field day and other events. Is there anything that it says about location? So, say for instance, if we were out of state or in another town for the time period, could we still operate under the club heading?
Yeah, there's no restriction on distances. Are you going to be out of town the end of January?
Well, I think I might be, but it'd be kind of interesting. Just drive up to Pikes Peak and sit there in the parking lot and make a lot of contacts.
At the end of January? Brave man.
Yeah, probably not there, but anyway, yeah. Maybe Summerfield Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, even if you could get up that mountain, it's going to be cold and windy up there.
Yeah.
It's cold and windy in the summertime up there. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, that might be something we try to coordinate. I know Mr. Denton for a while was trying to get together another field day, winter field day thing this year. And he kind of fell off the. So. All right. Well, anything else we should be covering tonight?
Mark, when is the winter field day?
January 30th and 31st.
End of the month. Okay, thank you.
I just opened up that website, so. And I know I've got net control on the 31st, so.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering if everyone's aware of the WA Area Wireless Association that Mark down at Radio Shack has started.
Oh.
It's essentially a group IO. Hasn't been too active. It's only been out a couple of weeks and about 3 posts on it.
I am on that. I hadn't looked at it too much.
Well, it all comes on your email if you wait long enough.
Mm-hmm.
It acts like he's trying to run maybe a bulletin board, but Larry's about the only one posting on it so far. I don't know how it's going to work out. First of all, Joe was talking about getting hold of other cam clubs. Well, that's another method out there. But second of all, maybe that's another way for the club to set up a group IO for which are radio club members.
Yeah.
And we do email without having to have everybody's email address.
Yes. And it could also be kind of a feed into like a rolling newsletter as well, or a feed into the newsletter. So, like a
Yeah, it could be. Plus, they have a small section for each group that has files and pictures. I've seen some up there that have, well, there's limited storage space. If you've got something you want to sell, you put a post up and then with a picture and then take the picture down as soon as it sells type thing.
Here, I'll post that link here to the group chat for everybody.
The other question I've had is our secretaries keep saying that stuff's on the drive, and how do you get to the drive?
Used to be available from the website. Not sure if I haven't tried to do that from the website in a long time, but that used to be the path to see that.
Yeah, it's drive.google.com. I don't know if
Yeah,
I don't know.
website used to have a link to our to the public portion of the Google Drive.
Let's see if this works here. I don't know if this is a link from my drive into the public drive or if this is going to work for everybody. So looking at that is another thing we can hammer out this year too. We started working on this past year and then kind of stalled a little bit, is updating the bylaws. And I think because of this COVID and so forth, I think there's maybe a couple other areas in there we could address just for contingency plans. So, and just harden it up a little bit. So I don't know if that link works for everybody or not. You can go ahead and try it out.
I got an access denied.
Access denied.
Well, it just shows they're wise people.
Yeah, I wouldn't belong to a club that'd have me as a member anyway.
That's the same link. That is the same link. Try that one. It has like an equal sharing at the back side of it.
Ah, I'm in.
All right.
There you go. All you have to do is know how to rub the lamp the right way.
Well, I got a message that said I had to ask for permission.
That's only,
I
that's
do
only for
that.
you.
Yeah, I know. I'm just letting you know I'm special. It says request sent.
I sent the link to anybody who's got the link should be able to open it up.
Did you get a request from me?
I'm not in charge of it. I wouldn't get the request.
Oh, that time I got in.
Okay.
Always shop around. All right, I got to grab that link.
Okay. Well, I personally don't have anything else. Anybody else want to? Any ideas for 2021? You know, do an AAR, things we could have done better from 2020. There's probably plenty of those. All right. Well, I know also there's one thing out there hanging too. We need to discuss at least by next meeting next Tuesday, is that we did have a tie for the junior director position. So we need to. We've got some suggestions out there. We just need to kind of ratify how we're going to solve a tie. And we've got beer pong as a suggestion. You know, flipping a coin, so forth, so on and so forth.
We could have a contest as to how many contacts they can make in an hour's time, and the winner is in.
That'd be a fun contest. So that's one thing we need to bring up, and by the board meeting next week, I want that kind of solidified so we know who our junior director is going to be. You know, and make it as unbiased as possible. So. So if anybody's got any ideas on that, I am all ears. So, and it might just come down to just a coin toss. So.
I've got a two-headed coin, so we could use that.
Well, that might lead itself to bias a little bit, but.
Guess who I would have picked to have the two-headed coin?
Why don't we put the four of them or three of them in a room together and let them figure it out?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, everybody stands and points to the person on their left.
Everybody take one step forward.
Bill's listening in on all this, so he's going to be ready for it. Well, thanks everybody for coming by.
Yeah.
Glad the technology worked as well as it did.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh.
It kind of flashed on and off. I didn't really read it, but
Bill was asking if the meeting that on the grounding and bonding next month is going to be like this, and I'm going to say potentially. And even if we can do it in person, Joe says yes. Even if we can do it in person, I think it would be a good idea to have this interface available as well for more people to join. So it's something we'll have to work out in the future if it's nothing more than a laptop with a webcam recording it.
Yeah.
So. Okay. I'll have to pick a special coin. I got a gold coin, but it's in a plastic thing, so.
we could flip the candidates, and the one that stands and that doesn't fall over, it gets it.
I better get muscle relaxers first. Or I'm going to be hurt.
Okay, well, I've been watching a show all day on TV, something about Washington, D.C. I got to get back to it and see how they're doing.
Oh. Yeah, welcome to or January 6th.
Yeah.
What a day. Alrighty, well, thank you everybody for joining. And just for everybody that's going to be watching this presentation afterwards, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or ideas, email us at board@warc1.org, and we'll get right back to you. And again, this is being recorded on the 6th of January, and our next board meeting is the following Tuesday, which is going to be on the 12th of January. So about 6:30 p.m. We usually conduct those via Ham Shack Hotline. So another good plug for getting on Ham Shack Hotline is another interface for us to use to talk to each other.
Okay, if I'm supposed to be part of that, I need to know how to do that.
Well, you are going to have a phone assigned to you. We have to get your phone specifically back from Lloyd, and since I'm probably the closest guy to him, I might have to coordinate with that sometime. Since I'm in Rose Hill now, he's probably only about 20-30 minutes away from me. And then our junior director will Terrence has that phone for the junior director, so once we get that sorted out, then we'll get that phone set up. And it's not going to be much more than connecting the phone, plugging it into the wall and plugging it into Ethernet, or I'm not sure if the one that Lloyd's got is Wi-Fi enabled, but you might have to just plug it in hardline. So
Terrence indicates in the chat that he's got both phones.
Oh, okay. Well, that's better. So we'll just have to coordinate with you, Jim, and Terrence to get that phone and a real quick setup guide on how to get it turned on.
Okay, I'll just have to get together somehow, I think.
Yep. All right, I'm ready to go QRT.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Have a great evening, and talk to you next time.
Reaver
Thank you, Mark.